Hey guys, it's Scorp. Today I want to talk about my experience with learning a new job. In Final Fantasy XIV, there are three core job types: the tank, the healer, and the damage dealer, also known as the DPS. Back in 2016, I decided my starting job would be Gladiator, which would get the job crystal for Paladin later on. I played this all the way through the MSQ up to the current patch of Stormblood, and continued to play it until patch 5.2 in Shadowbringers. I took a break after finishing the MSQ in Realm Reborn before starting the post-game of that, so that's just to clear up the time confusion on what I'm saying there. This is when I started to do the high-end duties of Final Fantasy XIV, but I decided instead to switch to a DPS job since tanking involved a lot more positioning and a lot of other things that I feel like would be very hard to learn starting out Savage raiding. The job I chose was Samurai, from an article I read explaining what the top DPS was. I figured Samurai was the best choice since it was the number 2 on that list. After all, how hard could that job be since it's one of the highest deeps in the game? I wasn't good at it. Shocker, right? I'd be messing up my rotation. I was more worried about doing mechanics and would opt out of greeting damage to stay safe. And that showed, unfortunately. That didn't stop me though. I continued to learn the class, the do's and don'ts, and the overall expectation when it comes to raiding. I have since cleared the final tier of Shadowbringers, asserting my dominance as the samurai who gets it done and makes it look good. But now I feel empty. All my hard work, and I'm just still a lonely damage dealer. How else can I feel good about myself if I'm just another red icon? That's when a buddy of mine convinced me to take up tanking. I just recently got my warrior up to max level. He then dragged me into a party for the Cinder Drift Extreme, and that's where it all started, where I learned the tricks of the trade. I learned everything from pulling the boss, the positioning and centering of the boss, how to tank swap, using my invulnerability during a big tank buster, and also things like using reprisal during raid wides and shirking, which also goes along with tank swapping. I've even been learning the best times to use my warrior specific abilities like Shake It Off and Thrill of Battle. Was I nervous? Of course I was. I had a lot more responsibility along with keeping my GCD rolling. A week had passed, and that nervous feeling I had vanished. Now more than ever, I was looking forward to the days we would jump into Party Finder and work on clearing the next raid. I'm the type of player who really enjoys the idea that I'm a cog in the machine, helping the rest of said machine function. I enjoy seeing a raid wide that I can reprisal to help limit the amount of incoming damage that will hit to the rest of my party. As a warrior, I love being able to use Nascent Flash on a party member to heal them for the 6-second duration for each GCD I use. Another warrior ability I really like is called Shake It Off. It's a party-wide mitigation shield that can be buffed for each of the warrior's mitigation you use prior to using Shake It Off. It's not the idea that I'm just the meat shield for the party. I'm not standing there just pointing the boss north and periodically swapping with my co-tank. I am not just pressing the 6 buttons to contribute my part of the damage. I am the wall that protects my party. One of the things that I had to learn was how to pull the boss and keep them centered. And it's not always the same between boss to boss. Sometimes you need to run to a certain point after using your ranged ability in order to get them just right. Other times you can just pre-position yourself and use your ranged ability and bada bing, they're centered. One of the things I learned early on is how to rotate the boss without actually moving them, which was just a simple move inside the hitbox and rotate whichever way I need them. Pretty simple. One of the things that I learned is to keep the boss facing north. This will allow the rest of the party to know where they're at and where to handle certain mechanics when the time comes. Party Finder's a bit indifferent with this. I feel like sometimes they just don't care, but I personally would rather face them north just to keep consistent. All of this, I just learned in a few short weeks of jumping into Party Finder with my friend. And I honestly thought it was going to be harder than this, but I picked up pretty easily, and I think that's because of the experience I've had with the game. I've discovered a new side of raiding that I never thought I would enjoy with tanking. I thoroughly enjoy it so much, I'm willing to drop Samurai just to tank full time. I think it's interesting to note, once I got confident with my tanking, that stress I felt at the beginning has now been replaced with determination to continue to play as my role, to continue to learn what I can do, what I should be doing during each mitigation or anything like that. It's just simple fun. I no longer fear going into the Party Finder. I know what my job is, I know the best way to handle a situation, especially one that's gone awry. This isn't to say I go into Party Finder and expect the instant clears, everyone should know what they're doing, or even know their jobs, etc, etc. That's just unrealistic. Knowing what it is that I need to do has given me more confidence to continue learning the new raids and how to optimize them. When I say optimize though, I don't mean about parse or anything like that. I'm talking more about which mitigation ability to use for certain attacks, where to weave in my tank stance, whether it's on or off, how to weave in my invulnerability, or shirking provoking depending on if I'm taking or giving the boss. I'm looking forward to finishing this tier as a tank, regardless if it's with Echo. I'm holding my own. Any mistakes I've made were instantly cleared up in the next poll. I'm looking forward to the next tier, as I will be tanking it 100%. Thank you guys for watching. Till next time, guys.